What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Bucky with you. Buck, what is going on? How you doing, man?
No, man, look, great week. Great football week. I mean, how can you get it? We're in the midst of the dead period when it comes to the NFL, but we get a chance to kind of preview and talk about what is about to happen in the season to come by looking at all these position groups.
Yep. We've been rolling through it. If you've missed the previous episodes, we went through the quarterbacks by division and ranked them. We also went through the running backs by division, ranked those as well. Today, we're going to do the wideouts. So we're going to go 1 through 4, each division, see if we get a little lay of the land here. And then hopefully Nabil, I believe, has been tabulating these as we go along, so he can tell us what it looks like in terms of who has the, I guess, Nabil, when you calculate these, it would be low score wins like golf. By division for those 3 positions combined. It'll be interesting to see how that comes out. So let's get rolling here, Buck. Let's start on the AFC with these wideouts. 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you go?
Okay, so when we go to the AFC, we go to the AFC. Some go with the Miami Dolphins, New York Jets, Buffalo Bills, and New England Patriots. To me, it's pretty obvious. When you talk about the Miami Dolphins, the best duo in football in terms of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waller, most explosive tandem. Both guys have gone well over 1,000 yards in each of the past 2 years. Last year, they combined for like 87 catches of 20 yards or more. They scare you from the time you step onto the field because their speed is real. And Mike McDonald does a great job of putting them in situations. Mike McDaniels does a great job of putting them in situations where they can really take advantage of one-on-one opportunities.
All right, I had just a slight difference from you. Miami Dolphins won. You mentioned it. That was easy. We look at the collection they have. They're so much speed. They put so much pressure on you with that speed. And then I went with the Jets at 2. Look, I think you can make a case Garrett Wilson. I can make an argument that you take Tyreek Hill in his own category, and then if we have Garrett Wilson versus Waddle, who would you pick there? I mean, I can make a case for Garrett Wilson, provided he has solid quarterback play.
Well, I can agree with you because I think Garrett Wilson is a number 1. I don't know if I would categorize Jalen Waddle as a number 1.
Yeah. So I mean, look, they've got the dude there with Garrett Wilson, no doubt. Now, can Mike Williams stay healthy, and can they run him out there? If they do, that's a nice 1-2 punch. Mike compliments him. Mike will get a lot of one-on-one with Garrett Wilson out there, and Mike has shown 50-50 balls they're much better odds than that for him when he's healthy, working vertically down the field. Just got to keep him healthy as he recovers from that ACL coming over from the Chargers. So I have the Jets at 2. I actually had the Patriots at 3, and one of the reasons there, look, Kendrick Bourne, solid all-around player. Demario Douglas, young speedster. He'll be going into his second year or third year, I guess. There for the I can't see the font. I think it's his second year. Obviously, he was a rookie last year. So out of Liberty, big-time speed, undersized player. He's a fun player. And everything I've heard, the reports out of Patriots camp and talking to people that are tied in there, is that they might have hit one on Jalen Polk. There is a lot of love for him, and he's got a chance, they feel like, to be one of the real bargains and steals in the draft based off what they've seen from him early on in the process. Their 2nd-round pick out of Washington. So I had them at 3. I had the Buffalo Bills at 4. Keon Coleman, fun character. Excited to see what he looks like as he continues, he's going to keep getting better as a rookie. We'll see what he does. I think you'll see a better version of him later in the year than you will earlier in the year. But I feel like with Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, they've got kind of those role dudes. I don't know if there's anybody that on, 3rd and 6. I mean, to me, I think that ball's going to the tight end. I don't necessarily, when we're talking about their wideouts, I don't love where they are right now in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I think when you're talking about the Buffalo Bills, it's a bigger loss than I think some will anticipate when they roll out the balls in the fall and they don't have Stephon Diggs. Like Keon Coleman, love his athleticism and his ball skills and what he can bring, but he's certainly not Stephon Diggs, an established wide receiver, number 1 receiver, guy who played at the top of his game. How Josh Allen, I would say, kind of acclimates to not having that. Can he make the core better? That's really the number 1 question that you have in Buffalo. Can Josh Allen elevate the playmakers around him?
There you go. All right, let's get to the AFC North.
Man, good division, but I'm going to go Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Cincinnati Bengals, man, just a combination of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I mean, that's enough right there. Talk about 2 dynamic players, 2 guys that can get it done in a variety of ways. You talk about T. Higgins being able to be the vertical stretch guy, a guy who I would say is kind of like a hybrid number one receiver on most teams of the way he's viewed throughout the league. And then Jamar Chase, just an alpha dog on the perimeter. He can catch short. He can go over the middle. He can do all the little things that you want to see as a catch and run specialist and winning the 50-50 balls. Joe Burrow has two of the best wide receivers that you can find in the league at his disposal. It's one of the reasons why the Bengals rate first.
Yeah, I have it the same. I have the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers. Quickly on the Ravens and Steelers. The Ravens, look, I think Zay Flowers is on his way to being a 1. I think he has that type of ability. He saw it last year. Obviously, the playoff game, the finisher wasn't the game that he wanted there with the way that went down. But to me, I think he's got legit number 1 ability. And then they've got some interesting names, some interesting guys in that room along with him. And then the Steelers, I said this the other day. I don't know if Brandon Ayuk's going to get traded. Probably won't. That would be my guess. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for the Niners to do that, considering they're not going to get anybody that's going to help replace him value-wise for a team that's ready to win a Super Bowl. But let's just say generically, if there was a receiver that was going to be traded, if it's Cortland Sutton, if it's Ayuk, if it's one of these guys, somehow T. Higgins, I don't see that happening. But I could make a case to Steelers based off of cap room. First of all, they have tons of room. They can absorb the player, give him a new contract, make him a highly paid, hopefully to be a 1. Because I think when you look at George Pickens, I think he best complements as a number 2. Who's going to give you the big explosives, but I think it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, a little bit up and down. I think he profiles perfectly as a number 2 receiver there. And then they had some role players, Van Jefferson, role player. I think Roman Wilson kind of uses a gadget guy, jet sweeps, things like that. I think they'll know how to use him. But I do think that of these teams, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have the room for it, both money-wise and position-wise there for a number 1 to bring into the room.
They do have it, and they've been really, really good at developing their own. But having that one guy, an established veteran that can come in and maybe slide into the number 1 role while Pickens is kind of serving that apprenticeship might be something that the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do. Because remember, they want to run the football, and they're trying to revive Russell Wilson and Justin Fields' career. At some point, you still want playmakers on the perimeter that can help all of those things be accomplished.
Let's get to the AFC South.
Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indiana, the Indianapolis Colts. And this is a tough one for me, not at number 1, because I think the Texans are head and shoulders above everybody when we think about Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, what they can bring to the table. The conversation to me is about the Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you go with the old guard that is established in DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, or do you go with, I would say, the more balanced unit, which is Christian Kirk dealing with Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis coming on board? Because we're not including the tight end with Evan Ingram, the nod goes to Tennessee Titans. But if you throw Evan Ingram in that conversation as a tight end, then it becomes a very, very interesting discussion.
All right, interesting. This is one where we're a little bit different order here, but I have the Houston Texans 1. I'm with you on that one. I am bullish, and maybe it's our old buddy Reggie Wayne's influence here. But I actually have the Indianapolis Colts 2. I have the Tennessee Titans with Calvin Ridley joining their group at 3, and I have the Jags at 4. Yes, I have them last.
The Jags last.
Here's the thing, Buck. You lose inside the division, no less. You lose Ridley, which is a big loss. So when I look at them, I see Gabe Davis. I like Brian Thomas Jr., but don't know exactly what we've got there. Christian Kirk's a good player. But I let's compare them to the Colts. When I look at the Colts, I see the combination of guys that they have there with Pittman and Pierce as kind of the power forwards. They just paid Pittman. Adonai Mitchell, talent-wise, I could make an argument. Just pure ability, he might be the most talented receiver in the entire division. Now they got to get it out of him, down and down out, be consistent. But you're talking about elite, and that's comparable. Him and Brian Thomas would be fascinating to watch those two careers, how those guys progress. I actually had Brian Thomas ahead of him in the draft, but 2 very gifted players. Josh Downs is a good player, instinctive, young. I think he's on the come up. I think you're going to see a better version of him this year than you saw last year during his rookie campaign. So I think they have a good mix of guys with different skill sets. You've got your power forwards, you've got your freak athlete in Adonai Mitchell, and you've got your little point guard there in Josh Downs. So I'm bullish on the Colts, but I can see it. I don't think there's anything crazy about 2, 3, 4. I think that 1 being Houston is not really a debate, and then I think 2, 3, 4. Okay, shake those up a little bit.
Look, and I think that's kind of how the division could play out. Like it's going to be determined by how those guys around the quarterback perform, and it won't only be the offensive line, but it'll be the pass catchers. And look, everyone is high on the Houston Texans, and rightfully so. They made a remarkable turnaround last year. It appears that they've added to a roster that was already good enough to win the division a season ago. For everyone else, they're chasing C.J. Stroud and company. And the only way that you're going to close the gap on that crew is your playmakers on the outside have to dominate. And so which group of these pass catchers plays at the highest level will determine which team is going neck and neck with the Texans coming down the stretch to win the division.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting division to follow for sure. AFC West.
AFC West, like DJ, this is probably one of the more disappointing divisions to me when it comes to the wide receivers. Let's go with the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers. The Raiders, Devontae Adams still kind of carries it and kind of tilts the scales of balance towards the Raiders. You have Jacoby Myers and that, but look, it's a really good group. I can't say that I'm wowed by anybody in this division. I go with the Raiders because Devontae Adams is the best receiver in this division.
Yeah, I went with the exact same order. So I mean, I'm with you. It doesn't get me super excited, but I do get excited about the rookies in this division. When you look at some of them, let's just go through some of those teams that have rookies that they're going to throw out there. The Chiefs with Xavier Worthy. What does he look like with that elite speed? The fastest guy we've ever had at the combine. How does he fit in with this group? The Rashee Rice, the uncertainty there with him. That's that changes what that group looks like depending on what happens with him if there's a suspension or whatnot. You look at the Denver Broncos, Troy Franklin being a rookie to add to their mix. They've got some other players there. Marvin Mims did some nice things last year. Cortland Sutton is very gifted. Tim Patrick comes back. But to me, Troy Franklin, a rookie flyer from Oregon, big-time speed, will be fun to watch. And then the Chargers have a couple. Vlad McConkey there in the second round. I think he's a great fit there. It sounds like they're using him a lot in the slot. He can play outside if you'd like him to. Excellent route runner. Excellent after the catch. Durability is the concern with him. But then you've got 2 more that they drafted in the 7th round with Brendan Rice and Cornelius Johnson. Brendan Rice, obviously Jerry Rice's son. I think it sounds weird to think of a son of a Hall of Famer who's still like developing player, a sorting player. He's someone I think you're going to see continue to get better and better. So I had the same exact order as you did, but I think the rookies will be fun to watch in that division.
Yeah, the rookies should be fun to watch. So some of these guys are going to have opportunities right away to make their mark. Division is a really interesting one when we look at it. It just doesn't have that star power that we're used to seeing.
All right, Buck, that wraps up the AFC. Let's take a quick pause and we'll come back. We'll wrap up the NFC with the wideouts. And Nabil has been hard at work. He's been tabulating some numbers for us. So we'll look and see by division who we think has the best collection, combining our 2 scores on these guys for quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. We'll get to all that right after this. Okay, we're in the NFC, Buck. Let's get to the NFC East.
Well, NFC East, to me, this is another one that is clear and apparent. Let's go with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, and the New York Giants. Philadelphia Eagles, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. How can you beat that combination? 2 guys that really share the marquee as number 1 receivers. One wrecks, the other destroys. The physicality and toughness of A.J. Brown, the smooth polish that Devontae Smith displays on the edge. They're just too good, too talented. That's why they're number 1 in my book.
Yep, I had the same order. Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. I am really fascinated to see what the Giants, what Malik Neighbors looks like because, look, electric. He was top 5 player in this draft class. I think he's an elite talent. So I'm curious to see, are we looking at the Giants a little different? Looking at that receiving group, that collection of guys, a little different after we get a chance to see what Malik Neighbors looks like once we get to the regular season. But the Dallas Cowboys, I think that 1-2 punch with CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, pretty darn good. Excited about that combination. Ryan Flournoy, interesting rookie, a little bit later pick, who's got some ability. So we'll see how that group comes together. And no arguments there on the rest of this list. I do think the Commanders have a group that fits really well. When you look at McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, excellent hands with Dotson, McLaurin, an all-around wideout, and I think McCaffrey, again, someone who hasn't played this position in a long time, but someone who just got better throughout the process from the regular season to the bowl games to the workouts. I think you're seeing somebody that's getting more comfortable at that position. I think Luke McCaffrey is going to be a good player there for the Washington Commanders. All right, how about the NFC North?
Most competitive division that we've talked about in all these personnel groupings. Really difficult to kind of separate them, but I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, and then the Green Bay Packers. The difference to me between the two teams at the top, the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, I'm going to say Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson's ability to rank as a top 5, a number 1, maybe wide receiver 1 throughout the league, gives them advantage. Jordan Addison has already shown that he can be a capable fill-in if he has to occupy that role when Justin Jefferson was out. They're talented. They may not have the thrower that allows them to fully showcase their skills, but from a talent standpoint, to me, they're superior than what everyone else in the division can roll out.
Yeah, that's a big time 1-2 punch. I would take Justin Jefferson as the top guy. Him and Tyreek Hill, they're different players, but those are the two guys. I went with them at 1. I went with the Bears at 2. Love that collection. I love Rome Odunze. He was my favorite player in the draft. I'm excited to see how they use him and deploy him, somebody with the ability to play any of these positions. They were 2 for me. I had the Packers at 3, which is a volume thing. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, what he got paid and what he's done consistently since he's come into the league is a great player. And it sounds like Jamison Williams is really taking some strides, taking that next step there in the offseason, which gets me excited about the Lions. But the Packers I put over them just because the volume of guys. There's so many different weapons that they can throw at you. You look at Christian Watson, you look at Dobbs, you look at Jaden Reed, you look at what they got out of Dontavian Wicks, Bo Melton, who's got big-time speed. That is a collection. They're going to beat you with depth, like the Boston Celtics of the receiver group there for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, they can beat you with depth, and they've been able to do it. They did it last year, and I believe that one of these guys is going to emerge as a star, whether it's Christian Watson or one of the other guys in the group. Somebody's going to end up being a star, and it's going to be apparent that they are deserving of being the number 1 receiver. It's amazing that we can talk about the collection of guys. And Jordan Love went on record and said, I don't know if we need a number 1. It causes more problems to teams to know that we don't have a true number 1, that the ball goes to the open guy. And he's right. But after this year, after they perform well, particularly if he plays well, someone is going to be recognized as the number 1 and to change the pecking order for the Packers going forward.
NFC South, Buck.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and the Carolina Panthers. I still can't get over this big boy combination of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I mean, they're just too big. They're still talented. Godwin has not been the player that he's been in the past, but he's kind of showing signs of getting back there. And then Mike Evans is just a model of consistency on the perimeter. Every year he shows up, every year he finishes with a 1,000-yard season. You just don't see that. Like that level of consistency, regardless who the quarterback is, speaks to how dominant he is on the outside. And those two big bodies making plays all over the field. One of the reasons why Baker Mayfield was able to perform well, and really one of the reasons why this team may swipe the division again.
Yeah, I went with the same order. Tampa 1, Atlanta 2, Saints 3, Panthers 4. But let's just pull out some of the rookies to keep an eye on. You mentioned the big duo there that they have with Evans and Godwin there in Tampa. I'm excited to see how they use Jalen McMillan, a true slot receiver, what he looks like there in that offense, how they sprinkle him in, what they get out of him. You look at the Carolina Panthers, the big move made to get up to the last pick in the first round because they didn't want to wait one spot for Leggett. They're out of South Carolina, who is big and strong and physical. Run after catch, excellent. He can play over the top, the hands, a little bit inconsistent, a little bit tight. So he's an intriguing one to see how he transitions, how he develops there. So we'll be keeping an eye on that there with the Carolina Panthers. But, man, if the Falcons can get good quarterback play, what we think of Drake London and his ability, it goes to another level. If you get the quarterback position dialed in, we'll get a chance to see him at his absolute best. I'm looking forward to that being the case there with Kirk Cousins. Okay, NFC West.
Another tightly contested one because you have really good pass catchers throughout this division. I'm going to go with Seattle 1, San Francisco 2, LA Rams 3, and then the Arizona Cardinals and 4. It's DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN. Just the the individual and the collective abilities of these guys sets them apart from the rest of the group. DK Metcalf is still a big play specialist. Tyler Lockett continues to be a guy that is like a reliable chain mover. And then DSN kind of growing and being groomed to be the number one receiver on the perimeter. In time, he's going to take the baton from Tyler Lockett and kind of become a bigger contributor, a bigger force on this offense. That's why I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks as the number one unit.
Okay. I can't argue that too much. I'll just say this. If you think about it from a wrestling standpoint, you got a 3-on-3 match. Metcalf, Lockett, Smith, and Jigba. That's a great trio you just referenced. Ayuk, Debo, and Ricky Pearsall, the rookie. That's a really good trio there. The reason why I went with the Niners 1 and the Seahawks 2 is because the fourth man into the ring was Juwan Jennings. And I don't think that Seattle has him. So I'm going to say that 4 is better than Seattle's 3. But that's a good discussion. I think they're both excellent groups. I have it San Francisco 1. I have Seattle 2. I have the Rams 3, as you did, with a great combination there with Puka Nacua, and hopefully Cooper Kupp stays healthy, and we get to see what he can do, and some other interesting pieces there in that room. And then the Arizona Cardinals at 4. I was tempted, man. I couldn't do it just because of what Puka's done and what Cooper Kupp production-wise has done through his career. I'm bullish though on the Cardinals receiver group. I like that room that they've built there. I think Michael Wilson's got a chance to be a really good player. And then you add Marvin Harrison there. That is a nice 1-2 punch. It's a great combination with those two young guys.
Great combination with those young guys. It's just a matter of what they do when they have the opportunity to play. We can speculate, we can project out what they would do until we see it between the lines. It's hard to go all in on them, but certainly confident that you can get a lot out of there. This is a really good division, and it's one where if the Arizona Cardinals talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of giving them what they've been lacking since Larry Fitzgerald departed, a true big body number one receiver that can dominate all areas of the field.
All right, it's time to see if Nabil did his homework. We've done it. We are done with the quarterbacks. We're done with the running backs. We're done with the wide receivers. Nabil's homework assignment was to tabulate that, take Bucky's rankings, my rankings, combine them, and we'll look at it division by division. So, Nabil, you got to jump in here. Let's start in the AFC. Let's start where we started, the AFC East. And we'll just go through all the different divisions here. Nabil, jump in here. Go ahead, Nabil. What we got? Who's the winner in the AFC East?
So the winner in the AFC East is the Dolphins.
Okay. So we like the Dolphins as the best team there in terms of offensively. Shouldn't be a surprise, all the production they have there. All right, keep it rolling. What we got next?
For the AFC North, we have the Ravens.
Okay. Offensively, it's a good division with some of those offenses. Nice. What we got next?
For the AFC South, we have the Texans.
All chalk right now, Buck. There's nothing that's surprised us. Keep it going, Nabil.
For the AFC West, we have the Chiefs.
Yeah. That's why if we go deeper on this, Nabil, we might get some takeaways. But right now, the favorites are the favorites. Like, keep rolling here. What we got? What's next?
For the NFC East, we have the Eagles.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So with the NFC North, we have the Lions. With the NFC South, we have the Falcons. And the NFC West, we have the 49ers.
All right. Well, there you go, Buck. A very productive exercise that produced no surprising results.
No surprising results.
We've had some good discussions there.
We did have some good discussions, but the favorites are the favorites. And the guys the teams that we've consistently talked about and the teams that we anticipate being in the tournament, teams vying for the Super Bowl, are the ones that have the most talent. We talked about, look, it's not the X's and O's, it's Jimmy and Joe's. And the teams that seemingly acquire the best talent, they have an opportunity to be the last team standing at the end of the season.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the multitude of episodes here as we have a fun little off-season assignment. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week right here on Move the Sticks.